Look at the top of any soda can. That tab is the second design. The first was a disaster. For about a decade, starting in 1963, every can of soda in America ended the same way. You peeled the whole top off, and you threw it on the ground. That became a nationwide litter crisis. Two men separately invented the can you hold today, 16 years apart, for completely different reasons. One forgot a can opener at a family picnic. The other had an environmental movement breathing down his neck. Between a bad picnic in 1959 and a roadside litter crisis in 1975 is the reason why. It's the summer of 1959. Ermal Fraze, a mechanical engineer from Dayton, Ohio, is at a family picnic in Kettering, just outside of town. He owns a precision tool company. He's built a whole business making dies, the shaped metal pieces that stamp out other metal parts. And he's about to be humiliated by a single can of beer. Someone brought the beer, but nobody brought a can opener. In 1959, beer cans were flat steel cylinders with flat steel tops. You had to puncture them with a pointed tool called a church key. Fraze, the tool engineer, improvised. He used the bumper of his car to pierce the lid. It took him half the afternoon to understand why a single picnic frustration was enough to change the world. You have to understand what every soda can look like in the 1950s. The plural key was a small handheld tool, palm-sized, sharp triangular point on one end, flat lever on the other end. You hooked the lip of the can, pushed down, and the triangular point tore a V-shaped hole into the metal. You did the same thing on the opposite side so the can could breathe. Every can of beer, Coke, tomato juice, anything sealed in a can, required you to carry around a tool just to open it. A can without a church key was completely useless. Fraze's insight was deceptively simple. Use the energy of the metal itself. He'd spent 2 decades making dies. He knew sheet metal could be scored deeply enough that it tears along a pre-cut line when leverage is applied. So he designed a tab that was part of the lid itself. You lifted the tab. The metal tore along his scored line, and the whole tongue of aluminum came off, held neatly between your fingers. No tool needed. No dangerous triangular hole. Fraze patented it in 1963. Pittsburgh Brewing Company bought the rights that same year and rolled out the first can with a pull-tab Iron City beer. Sales of the new beer tripled in 3 months. Within 5 years, every major American brewery had switched. Coca-Cola followed, Pepsi followed, Budweiser followed, Schlitz followed, Dr. Pepper followed. By 1970, pull-tabs were universal in the United States, and they were already starting to spread to Canada and Europe. The church key became a drawer of useless things nostalgia item. Fraze's own company, Dayton Reliable Tool, supplied the dies that punched out 1.6 billion of these tabs every single year, in Ohio alone. Ermal Fraze became a multimillionaire. The story could have ended there, and for Fraze it basically did. He retired comfortable, widely credited as the inventor of the can we all know. Except he didn't invent the can we all know. Something was about to go catastrophically wrong. The problem was the tab itself. Every time someone opened a can, they were left holding a small aluminum ring attached to a thin, sharp triangle of metal. Impossible to close the can with. Most people just threw it on the ground. By 1973, American highways were glittering with discarded pull tabs. People cut their bare feet on them at the beach. Children sometimes swallowed them. Cows ate them with their grass, and some of the cows died from internal bleeding. Vermont banned them. Oregon banned them. A national environmental campaign called Don't Be a Litter Bug made pull tabs the villain of American roadside trash. For the first time in history, a design was winning a public health case against itself. Enter Daniel Cudzik, an engineer at Reynolds Metals in Richmond, Virginia. In 1975, after months of prototyping, Cudzik's team patented what they called the stay-on tab, the design on every soda can you've ever touched. Instead of the tab breaking off, The tab pushed a small pre-scored section of aluminum down into the can itself. The tab, the little lever you pull, stays attached permanently to the top of the can. It never touches the ground. Cudzik gave the patent away for essentially a symbolic price. Reynolds didn't aggressively license it. They let every manufacturer in the world adopt it at nearly no cost. And by 1980, the old detachable pull tab was effectively extinct. Today, roughly 180 billion beverage cans are produced every single year, all around the world. All of them use Cudzik's design. None of them use Fraze's. When you pick up a can of Coke right now, look carefully at the tab. It stays. The little lever hinges open. The small circle of metal disappears into the drink, and the tab itself stays welded to the ast permanently. You've opened thousands of these without ever once thinking about the fact that somebody had to specifically engineer a piece of aluminum to do the opposite of what aluminum normally does under stress. Two men, 16 years apart. One fixed a picnic. The other fixed what the picnic fix broke. Every can of Coke in your fridge. Every beer you've ever cracked open. Every sparkling water, every energy drink, every diet cola, every cold lager on every shelf. All of it is the sum of two frustrated engineers working separately in Ohio and Virginia, 16 years apart, for completely different reasons. Ermal Fraze never thought about litter. He just wanted a way to open a beer without a tool. His design worked. It worked so well that for 12 uninterrupted years, it quietly generated the biggest single category of roadside trash in the entire country. Daniel Cudzik never thought about picnics at all. He thought about cows with perforated stomachs and kids swallowing small aluminum rings at the beach. His design works so well that you've opened 10,000 of his cans without ever once wondering why the tab doesn't come off in your hand. That's what actual effective design looks like. It isn't one person's invention. It's the second person, quietly, fixing the first person's mistake without anyone ever noticing. The can on your desk right now is the result of an industrial accident corrected by an accident of environmental activism. A picnic in 1959. A cow in Vermont. The rest is 16 years of iteration that became the most common metal object on Earth. So that's one of them. There's a whole quiet archive of reasons just like this one. Ordinary, stacked, everywhere things you never once stopped to question. Subscribe so the next one finds you first.